Hey everyone, this is Athletes and Antiquities, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with failure and how to manage risk when speculating on very volatile and luxury goods. So this video is all about failure. I'm going to tell you guys a few of my purchasing failures or missed opportunities, and I'm going to talk about how to kind of deal with that and how to manage risk going forward. So one of the things that spawned me to make this video was Charlie Herlocker, a very prominent collector in the community, very well respected. He was in an interview with, I think it was Squeaks and Pokey Radar, and he said this quote. He said, "If you never lose, you're probably losing." And he went on to elaborate on that. But basically what he was saying was, if you're being so careful that you never lose on an opportunity, you're not taking enough risk, and therefore you're leaving a lot of profit on the table. So I kind of relate it to if a batter in baseball only swings when it's a slow pitch down the middle. That's not going to happen very often. So if you watch and you wait for that, you're going to miss a lot of other great pitches. You can't just wait for that slow down the middle pipe that you can take to the fences. Sometimes you have to swing on those balls that are on the edges of the strike zone, and there's a lot of home runs in those balls that you might just be too afraid to swing at because it's kind of on the fence. You don't know if it's a ball, if it's a strike. And like, obviously there is a such thing as too much risk, so you want to kind of balance, is this risky to the extent that the profit opportunity is very slim? You have to balance that. So I'm going to talk about a few examples of times where I left a lot of money on the table. Fortunately, in this hobby, it's not as easy to straight up lose money. A lot of times it's not making money, which is where you're missing out. So first example on the left here, Trainer Deck B. I remember in 2016 or 2017, I was very interested in Trainer Deck A and Trainer Deck B. I knew it was a very rare set. Not a lot of people talked about it. This was before a lot of the hype. Not a lot of people really knew that these cards existed. These are very unique red bordered cards. Very hard to come by. And there was a Trainer Deck A sealed on eBay for, I believe it was $900 or something, like $800, $900, something like that. And I had the money for it, but I was still in high school. I was 17 at the time, or 18, whatever month or year it was around that time. I had the money for the $800 purchase, but it was a large amount of money for me. It was probably over half of what I had in my bank account, because I didn't have a lot of money. I was just a poor high school kid. So I was contemplating using half of my available funds to purchase this Trainer Deck B, because our Trainer Deck A it was the Machamp one, because they come up so infrequently. And so it was in my cart, and I was actually talking about it with my father, because I was saying, am I crazy to buy these cards for $800? Nothing I had ever purchased was even close to that at that point. Even after that, there's very few things I purchased that have surpassed that, but I ended up not pulling the trigger. It was in my cart. I was so close to clicking buy, but I ended up not doing it. And it was a very risky purchase for me at the time. And now those decks sell for well over $10,000, so I would have probably 15x'd my money. So on hindsight, it was a big loss. It was a big missed opportunity. I didn't lose any money, but I lost an opportunity to make money, because I probably would have sold it on the line, or I would have opened it and graded them, or whatever it was. But there was a very large money-making opportunity there that I left on the table. But that was a very risky purchase. So it wasn't a slow pitch down the middle. It was a curveball in the upper corner that I wasn't sure about, and it was very risky for me. So at the time, even knowing what I knew today, if I knew everything I knew today, I would have obviously bought it. But at the time, that was an extremely risky purchase. But there were less risky purchases too. This isn't this card, but in like 2016 or 2017, when Mario Pikachu and Luigi Pikachu were released, I followed SM Pratt at the time. I was very invested in the very niche deep dive kind of channels like the SM Pratt. I was on E4, and I wanted to buy the sealed Mario Pikachu boxes it was just a little bit over retail. There was a little bit of an upcharge going to the US, but it was basically a retail price on them. And I didn't pull the trigger because it was a good amount of money. It was a lot less money than the Trainer Deck B, so it was a much easier pitch to hit. But I decided not to, and ended up turning out very poorly because those are now worth lots of money. Same thing with Screams. With Screams, I was around when all of these were released. I was very deep in the hobby at this time still. I was deep in the hobby this entire time. But you could buy these Scream cards for less than $10 a piece, near mint, all day, every day from Japan, and I didn't buy any of them. I had all of them in my cart at different opportunities, different times. I didn't buy any of them. I had to rebuy this Eevee, already graded in PSA 9, for about, was it $100? When I could have gotten the entire set for less than that a few years prior. These are missed opportunities that I did not capitalize on. And that was a much easier pitch to hit. That was a much more manageable thing for me. These are just missed opportunities. I remember when Pop Series were coming out, I was a player. I was a player in the Diamond and Pearl era. They were handing out Pop Series packs. And, I didn't like accumulate them. I didn't, Pop Series 5 had the Umbreon and Espeon. I didn't even know they were a thing, honestly. But I didn't go heavy in them. Even after I found out later, I didn't go back and buy them. These are missed opportunities, but they're not necessarily money lost. The only types of things I'd say that I bought that actually lost money were during the hype, during the very peak. I've been buying consistently for years, and I was still buying when things were getting crazy. After COVID, after the Logan Paul boom, I was working on my EX era PSA 8 holo set, and I was buying PSA 8s for about $40 a piece on the higher end, and now those cards are worth $20 in 8s, so I definitely lost money on those if I were to sell them today. But these are all missed opportunities. But so when you're talking about, oh, I've never lost money in the hobby, I've very rarely lost money in the hobby. I've done very well in the hobby, but I've done so well because I don't take enough risk. If I took more risk, I would have made some of these purchases. I would have made other purchases that turned out poorly, but even making one of these decisions would outweigh multiple poor decisions. Like, if you guys follow Sports Card Investor, Jeff Wilson, he's an entrepreneur. He invests in like tech companies. He's very wealthy. He's been very successful. And he said if you get one right, it could pay for 15 wrongs. When you're investing in those companies, you invest $1 million in 15 companies. If 14 of them go to zero, but one of them goes to $100 million, you have made an exorbitant amount of money, despite all that loss. So this isn't a cry for everyone just to buy everything and take as much risk as you can, but it's more just an idea of, if you're not taking risk, there's a good chance you're missing great opportunities. If you hesitate on that collection, it could be a good decision. That collection could end up turning out poorly, but if you consistently hesitate, there is a good chance that you might be missing something out there. So I'm trying to be very careful when I say this, because I'm definitely not trying to encourage people to go out and make really poor financial decisions. I'm just saying that throughout my experience in Pokemon, I would have benefited more from being more risky, and that could change going forward. I could make the next few decisions I make could be very poor. If the hobby goes down even more than it has, it could end up being poor. But I think going forward, I'm going to be a lot more, not aggressive, but I'm going to be a lot more comfortable taking risk on things where I can handle the loss. Me buying this as a kid, that $800 Trainer Deck A when I was 17, was a huge risk. It was an astronomical risk. So that might be something that I wouldn't take today on like today's magnitude if I adjusted for my current ability, my current purchasing power and stuff. But I think I'm gonna take more of these, at the time, $10 Scream cards or cheap Pop Series 5 packs and stuff. That kind of thing. If I think there's a potential for strong growth, I will take a small but a little bit more sizable risk, because in the long run it could play out tremendously. So what do you think about this video? Do you think I'm way off base? Do you think I'm giving you horrible advice? I'm not trying to force anyone to do anything they're not comfortable with. I'm just simply saying from my experience what I'll be doing going forward. So let me know what you think about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But yeah, thanks. Bye.